Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. That's the first time I've ever screwed up on my name, and I've done this intro 400 and something times. That's ridiculous. But I'm here with a special guest. His name is Adrian Zambrano.
Hey, hi. Thanks for having me.
That was good emphasis on the last name. I felt it.
Yeah. Actually hit it perfectly.
Well, tell me a little bit about yourself, and if you want, what you do professionally.
I'm actually a lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
So that's when it comes into the Zodiac podcast part, where it's like you're still studying murder just in a different way.
I'm usually more. I have my job has to do more with like family law and like I get to meet people at their worst, where they're going through the worst shit. Can I curse? Can I curse?
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, okay.
I think I've done it twice. I think already.
Oh, okay, cool. We just want to make sure. I meet people where they're going through like the worst shit in their lives.
We're a family show, god damn it. No,
yeah, and I hear all sorts of crazy crap all day. I've been doing it for 15 years, man. And one of the ways I like unwind from all that crap and like don't go there when I don't bring it home when I come back home is I just like go into my little make-believe worlds and like start podcasting, like writing stuff, and like just go somewhere where somebody gets I don't know, get eaten by a giant flea or something. I don't know.
So what exactly, explain to me a little bit of the podcast here. Like you say Evil Zodiac, are you chasing the Zodiac killer, or is it just horror and comedy sketches and
Yeah, this is actually a horror comedy show. It's not my first. It's not my first show, but it's my brand new show. It's actually the first one I've done in English, because most of the other shows I've done, I've worked with Squatch before. I played a few characters.
Michael.
Yeah, with Michael Russo, and
I'm actually one of the voices coming up on there. I'm not going to.
Oh yeah, the Christopher Walken mortuary thing. I heard the episode. That sounded good, man.
There's there's one of it's coming up. I think he's releasing it. The guy's name is Marv, and he has a Jim Brewer type voice style, but he's an alien and he huffs paint all day. So
okay, that sounds good.
I'm waiting for. He gave me a part. He's like, I want you to think of a disgusting commercial character, and I was like, Rectum Randy. He's like, what? I was like, it's 100% grass-fed ass. It's a cooking show, and he teaches you how to use the best parts of a rectum.
Yeah, the one of the parts I played was a telemarketer who shit himself because he was trying to sell. Yeah, the other one was an old lady got eaten by a cat, and I also gave Spanish lessons for cannibals. So
that's a good one.
How to say my chainsaw is all coated in entrails. Where can I get this cleaned and all sorts of stuff.
For people that don't know, his show is a little graphic.
Oh yeah. His humor is black. That's the black humor. It's dark. It's
the fun stuff, man. It's the stuff that
nobody
ever wants to talk about. So, what do you typically try and do with your podcast episodes? Like when you're making one or you're crafting one out, do you like to do what he does with like a little town somewhere, or do you try and do it more of like just funny jokes?
Well, this one is more Evil Zodiac is like your con man, holistic new age guru type guy who's actually like he's only in it for the money. It's a main character. You play as one of the clients coming into it. It's sort of like an audio drama. First things off, the first thing you hear, hey, don't speak, don't say anything. I run the show here, and I will do this special ritual, and I'll make sure you'll know your future, and we'll consult the Dark Zodiac, and we go through this whole thing where it's sort of like a guided meditation, but it's just meant instead of to relax you, it'll just unnerve you, so you won't fall asleep. And he's saying all sorts of things like, "Oh, you're walking the path of death, and this is a path only for for those who are cursed."
Have you seen that new show? Have you seen that new show on Netflix, Missy, the Netflix thing? And she was reading.
I've seen the little banner, but I haven't seen the episode.
There's a snippet. She's reading some dude's fortune, like a palm reader, and she's like, "Oh, don't get on any planes. You're gonna die." He's like, "But we're on an island." He goes, "Oh, well, fly back with me. I'm not gonna die. I'm gonna live a long and happy life." And then she ends up leaving the island, and he's sitting there. He's like, "She left already. Now I'm stuck on this fucking island." And it's like that is the thing that happens though. You get those fortune tellers, those people. Like as much as I like to try and entertain it, and I hear people talk about it that are true in belief of it, it makes sense. Okay, I understand, but there's obviously a lot of scam artists out there. There's a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people that are
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, did you know this one line in your hand leading all the way down to your elbows, depending on the length, shows how long you're gonna live. Mine goes
Oh
down to
man.
my fucking neck, and let me tell you something. I only plan on living to be 26.
How come? How come 26? That's
I
a
have
weird
I
number.
have a long story, and it was between my doctor and me. He tried to get me into porn, and yeah, it's a very long drawn out. I'm turning it into a comedy bit. I'm making an album on it, but it's funny because he goes, you know, I can get you into porn. You have a nice body after giving me a physical, and I'm like, I'm 19 years old. I was like, maybe not now, but if I don't have anything for myself by the age of 26, I'll be more than happy to sign me up.
There's you reminded me. There's this book. I don't know. There's this. It's a German guy, Herman Hess, and it's all about a guy who's about to reach 40, and the guy has been planning all his life is if I reach 40 and I haven't done what I want to do with my life, I'll commit suicide. And he's got this little straight razor blade, and he says, I'm gonna kill myself. And he's been planning it for years, for years, for years, for years. Well, his birthday comes around, he's not where he wants to be, and he's in front of the mirror. He's got the straight razor, and he chickens out. And the rest of the book is like, damn, now what the hell am I going to do now? Because he planned his entire life around dying at 40, and now he's got to live that life. It's look it up. It's called Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf.
I always
Or
talk about the
Steppenwolf.
people that talk about killing themselves are never going to do it. And then there's the people that don't talk about it. Like if you see the show Scrubs and they're like, Ted, why do you have a gun in your briefcase? And he goes, oh, it's like a gun and happy stickers. He goes, one's for when I get sad and one's for when I get really sad. And then the guy's like, oh, well, see you tomorrow. And he goes, hopefully not. And then he starts walking away. And it's like, that's a guy right
Yeah,
there.
that's a guy who's good. Yeah.
That's the dude that's standing on top of the bridge looking over, and you go, jump! And you're just like, I'm enjoying the view.
Yeah, I met a guy who committed suicide. He was a security guard in an office building where I used to work. That's the guy who always gave you a joke, always had like candy on him, always laughed, always
It's the
said
Robin
like,
Williams types, man. The ones
exactly,
that
man. Like,
suffer the most are hidden behind things of laughter. That's why I get scared when like it's someone like me or someone like you or someone like Michael that do these fun things, but it's an outlet as well. When the
yeah,
humor gets dark, it's because we have thoughts in our own head that we're trying to express in a way, and it's hard to keep that shit up there all the time.
that is true, man. It's an outlet because some people like try to hold this image of I'm happy, I'm positive, I'm my life is going great, and it turns out it's something completely different. And what most creative types I heard this is like your 400th episode or something.
Yeah,
This is
this will be like probably episode 440.
I've done let's say 35 episodes in the last 2 years, man. So how do you do
It's
it?
not a
That's like
competition, man. You think you're better than me? You think you're better than? No. Oh no, I mean mine's a lot more simple. Like I think obviously for like you and for Michael LaRusso too, like when you guys do your podcast, there's a lot more editing. There's a lot more of stuff that goes in behind it, a little bit more of a story. I wish I could do something like this, but I'm also trying to conversate with everybody in the world. So it's like doing that. If you post one every month or post one every 2 weeks, you're not going to even fucking scratch the surface. So I just try and make sure I post one every day, a new conversation, because this is easy as shit. We're just shooting the shit, talking, seeing where it goes. You know, if you want to talk about yourself, you want to talk about whatever you're interested in, more than happy to, but just entertain the idea that the name kind of says it all. I'm fucking random as hell. I will bring up stuff that you're like, what? Like you'll be completely caught off guard. And it's always funny. The ones I always deny are the people that are, let me get a scripted questions. I'm not coming on unless you get scripted questions. Whoop.
why?
Well, then you're out the DMs because I get it. You don't want to feel attacked. You know, people tend not to listen to things before they go on them. I'm like,
Oh,
just
okay.
check out the show. You'll
Yeah.
understand that I'm not a psycho killer that much. I'll put Lysol in your coffee.
And I'm holding my coffee right here.
Well,
Man.
Well, when you do your show as well too, what do you typically try and stylize? Because I have listened to a little bit of it, and it gives off this more of like an accent, but like you can tell the phoniness in it. But you seem like you structure the character to be serious, but also in like how we would stereotypicalize somebody that's like, I practice forms of psychedelic meditation,
Yeah.
man.
The character's based when I was growing up, my mom went through this like spiritual journey, and we went through every church, every congregation, all sorts of new age stuff, all sorts of like psychic healers, crystal meditation people, everything. So that character is what would you call it? It's like a
Motherfucker's got
combination.
sage in his glove box. That's all
Yeah,
you need to know.
he's a combination of every single one of those guys I ever met. I was like 10 years old, man. And there's a powerful psychic coming from another part of the city, and he said he had a dream, and he wants to meet you. I was like 10, 12 years old. That guy was probably a pedophile or something. And and he comes over to my house, has coffee,
He's a
and he
Mr.
says,
Rogers type.
yeah, I
Come
know.
on
Yeah,
now.
he says, I want to meet your son because I had a dream about him. That's what he says to my mom. So my mom calls me over, and I'm like in another room and whatnot. And oh, it's another one of these holy people, right? And because I've seen a bunch of them in my upbringing, right? So it's one of those holy people. And the guy looks at me, and he starts staring at me, and he says, he is powerful. I must train him, like something out of a stupid movie or something, right? So I must train him. He will come live with me, and I will take him, and I will bring him back when he is 18, and he will be a powerful psychic. And then, like, he says to my mom, all you need to do is give me, like, I don't know, this like stupid amount of money each month for his upbringing and for his psychic training and whatever. So my mom ended up kicking him out of the house, like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'll think about it. Bye. But
I have strong feelings on this. First, I have two things.
yeah,
One, that is a great way to molest children, as if you're
I
going to act like a
know.
psychic. Like your mom fucking tossed you out there like it was nothing. She was like, come over here, speak to this man. And
Yeah.
then, second of all, I have a similar experience with that too. So, my mom's side of the family has been able to do things I could never explain. I actually had a dream, I think about 8 months back, of saw a person lying in a ditch. Now, I'm an insomniac, so a dream is very, 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 very real when I do get them, and they usually come true. Deja vu. Um,
Okay.
so I came downstairs and I was shooken up by this dream. I had this weird dream, and I was like, I started explaining it to my mom, and she walks around the corner and comes back with her phone on Facebook and shows a picture. And she goes, "Did the guy in your dream that you saw?" And I described this channel like a gutter, basically. She goes, "Did he look like this?" And showed me it, and it was the guy. And she goes, "Now, in explicit detail, tell me exactly." And I explained to her the area that it was in. Next thing I know, 2 days later, they found the guy in the area that I had described.
Oh, okay.
That was something I couldn't explain, but I started being a little bit more open to it. So what's weird is like that my mom's side of the family, she told me a story of when I was a child. The writer for Ghost Whisperer has wrote a bunch of books and all these types of publications and stuff. Me, I just like to entertain the idea because it's weird to think so close-minded that maybe something's not connected at one point. You know, it could have been a coincidence or whatever. But my mom, when I was like 2 years old, went up to him and was like, because she works radio, so she gets to interview all these clients. And she goes up to him and goes, "I have a question about my son." And then the guy stopped my mom and said, "Is his name Robbie?" And finished it. And my mom was
Whoa.
like, "Yes." And she goes, "He's going to be a powerful psychic one day." Your story makes me think mine's bullshit and somebody's lying to me. But
No,
he
but
knew.
that guy wasn't asking for money or to take you to some psychic retreat somewhere or something, right? Yeah.
Same thing. The guy who wrote Ghost Whisperer didn't ask for a single cent, and he just said he's going to be a powerful psychic one day, and start looking at him, taking him more serious. And every time my mom hasn't taken me serious on something, if I made assumptions about somebody, I get a very good, strong energy, which is possibly why I can do this podcast pretty well. Just because of the fact is I can vibe and see which direction people want to go with, or that sense of empathy we can all kind of feel for the world. And then just as I started getting older and older, it became stronger and stronger. And like then my grandma, she hates talking about it as much as I do, but she sees ghosts and stuff. And like I've seen a few in my day, but I thought they were actual people there. Then you find out that nobody's actually
Okay.
fucking there. And that's when I entertain the idea. I think it's, it's cool to listen to, but at the same time, I know how fucking crazy it sounds even talking about it. But I
No,
don't
no,
go
but
and try and read
I get
people's
it.
palms and shit. I don't do tarot
No,
cards or any of that.
I get that because I've experienced a couple of things which have been interesting, like the seeing something on the road. I took a road trip with a girlfriend I used to have, right? And we were driving down a 2-lane highway around 6 o'clock in the morning. Suddenly the traffic stopped and everybody's pulled to like the sides of the road and everything. And we're looking down like an embankment, and there's this car flipped over, and there's this guy standing just like on the side of the road, all covered in blood, looking down at his car. And everybody, oh my God, that guy's lucky to be alive, whatever, whatnot, whatever, right? And we stopped and, hey, like, does anybody need help or anything? No, we already called an ambulance and everything. And the guy was like really zoned out, right? Obviously he like crawled out of that car, like went up a hill and whatnot. So by the time we're getting back like that was like 6 o'clock in the morning. The time we're driving back, it's about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. The road was thick with fog, so I had to drive very slowly, and right smack in the middle of the road I had to stop, and the same guy covered in blood, everything was right there in my headlights.
Can I get a
And
ride?
and my girlfriend starts screaming, and she says, oh my God, the guy's still here. And I say, no, and we're looking at the guy. No, that guy's dead. Like, that guy has not been here for more than 12 hours standing in the same spot. That guy's dead. And she starts like, we should ask him if he needs help. No, we're not. I just like drive around him. And I had to, and like maybe 100 feet down the road, I had to stop again because there was this truck. What do you call it? Jackknife?
Yeah.
Jackknife, to its side, right in the middle of the road. So if I hadn't stopped to look at the guy, like just dead stopped, I would have been going much faster in the road, and I would have smacked into the jackknife truck.
I got so many things to say. One, I've never seen a fucking car accident. I've always been missing it. Either I blinked or I was turning the wrong way and I hear a bang and I'm like, damn it. Like, I didn't get to see the actual collision. Happened to me a month ago. I saw a person had jackknifed their car onto like the guardrails in the middle of the highway or something. And I was like, I just fucking missed this. What the hell? This is fresh. The guy's getting out of the car like, what the fuck happened? I'm like, damn it. And then second of all, I call out bullshit when it comes to those guys on I live in an ocean beach town and they're on the boardwalk. The circus carny types that are like, let me see your fortune and
Oh
reach.
yeah.
I call bullshit on all that. But I do
Oh, yeah.
believe that there are people that are serious out there about this type of stuff that haven't had experiences like you and me have, which do make me believe some of the stuff like, what do you call it? A long time ago when I was little, when I first started figuring out like this was a thing on my mom's side of the family, and my dad, who's like, all right, I don't have time for bullshit right now, like the fantasy, all that type of stuff. There was a girl that went missing. I was probably 13, 12 years old or something. And this little girl was probably 7 or 9. She had been missing for a week and the parents were looking for a body at this point. So
Damn.
my mom got a dream of the little girl coming to her. And I remember her running in. It was like in the middle of the night. Out into the family room. I'm out there with my dad. I remember because it was summertime, so I started playing on Guitar Hero, and that was real popular. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
playing "Schools Out" by Alice Cooper because I
Okay.
was just fucking. So she comes out. I'm in like in the middle of like hanging out with my dad. Starts going up to my dad, grabbing him, like, "Come here, listen to me," and starts telling my dad that he needs to call in anonymously to the cops about this location that she thinks that the girl's buried in. And
Whoa.
my dad's like, "I'm not doing it." And my mom was so serious, like, "You need to do it now." My dad did it. And ever since that day, my dad has believed in this type of stuff because they ended up finding the little girl exactly where my mom had described. And my mom goes, the girl came to me in a dream, which on her side of the family has been known for people to be able to see this
Uh,
type of stuff in their dreams, which is why she asked me a lot of stuff about it. But she goes, the girl came to me and told me where her body was. And
y-
that is very, very hard to, explain and get someone to believe you. But my dad was a totally like not a skeptic guy. He was like, that's bullshit.
yeah.
That's this. Then he's immediately changed his ways. Like, I know whatever. I believe in it all right now.
Whatever it is, I believe in it. That's what he did, right? Like he
Yeah.
doesn't know what it is. He doesn't understand it completely, but something happened. You know what? You reminded me of something. There was a friend of the family who got murdered when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and he used to babysit me when I was like from 2 to 7, right? And one day in the morning, I wake up and I tell my mom, "Hey, I just dreamed about this guy. He was in a big car, and he told me he was going away for a long time, and he wanted me to be good, and he wants me to be happy and not be sad." And my mom's just staring at me blankly, and like, "What?" "Well, something bad happened, and we don't know where he is, and people are looking for him." His mom called me in the morning, and I tell my mom, I'm like 7 or something, and I told my mom, "No, don't worry, he's okay. He's going away for a long time, but he's gonna be okay." And my mom's just staring at me, and like 2 hours later, she gets a phone call, and they found the body. So it was like it was he was involved. He wasn't he fell in with the wrong people, and the wrong people, like, well, what happens with the wrong people, right? So that's what happened, and that also stuck with me. The guy likes saying, "Hey, goodbye," like
There's
it
a
was like a farewell.
there's a kid. I had his mom on my podcast, or not his mom. I had him on my podcast, but his mom got into a severe car accident. And the day, I think it was the day before, I was driving under a street light. I was in the passenger side. My mom was driving. It was somewhere in Salisbury, Maryland. We passed under the street light, and immediately I felt like somebody, like, you ever seen the movie Push, where the dude had like
Yeah,
Captain America had the fucking mind powers. Well, it
yeah.
felt like I got hit with like an invisible force field. And I went like that, and like rocked back in my seat. And my mom's like, "Are you all right? Like, what the fuck was that?" And I just told her, I was like, "Stop the car. Miss Kim is going to get into a car accident." And my mom's like, "What?" And I started explaining to her, I'm like, she's going to get rear-ended or something. She's going to get hit T-boned at a stop at a street light. I need you to let her know. I need you to do this. And I was so shook up by it. And this is what I get with my dreams too. And not even, I think it was a couple days later, she ended up getting into a severe car accident. And she's now still, after a couple of years had passed, relearning how to function again, like with her
Damn.
legs,
Oh,
everything. So now she comes over here and she's like looking at me like I'm some like oracle or some shit. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but anything I usually say now, people start to listen to me when they've seen an experience like that. And I get seeing is believing. I mean, uh, down in my town, there was a guy that had a puppet of a dinosaur, and he would dance around and talk about his puppet would grant wishes or do whatever. Fucking, I called the dude being a pedophile, and next thing you know, he got arrested for being a pedophile. So I
damn.
I call out bullshit, like I
Yeah.
say, but at the same time, there's been some stuff where it's like the fortune teller stuff, the hand reading, all that type of stuff. There's a lot of people that do it a disservice out there, but there's been some
Oh yeah.
crazy shit I can't explain. I mean, we had a picture of a old style, like the old sideways, like oval photos, like the old wooden frames, like stuff that
Yeah.
looked like
Yeah.
it was made back when cameras were first
Like
invented.
sepia tone or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw a picture of a guy on there, and I was like, why do you have a picture of my imaginary friend? Like, that's exactly what my imaginary friend looked like. And my mom just looked at me and goes, "You don't know this, but you used to talk about a guy named, I think his name was Larry or Frank or something all the time." And she goes, "He's your protector." I'm like, "My protector?" And goes, My father had a brother that died when he was 7 years old in a barn fire. And
Damn.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's him. That's who you were seeing all the time." I was like, "So it's not an imaginary friend, it's a fucking ghost." And she goes, "Yeah, he's like a guardian angel." And she's really religious. And I just looked at it, I was like, I also had a fucking imaginary friend that was a dragon too. So, you
So
know,
maybe it was a demon.
but what
It
I'm
could have been.
saying though is like that type of stuff gets brought in, and I like to fantasize with that idea of stuff. But when I start seeing people take advantage of people for money on the aspect of that on the
Yeah.
court, I fucking call you out, bro. I'm like, all right, read my fortune. You have a grandma. I do have a grandma. Her name is Clarice? Her name's Clarice. I fucking knew you have powers. Like that
What
type
what
of shit gets me.
what do they call that? Cold reading, right? That
Yeah.
that guy used to do it. John Edwards. You remember that guy?
Bullshit.
Uh, you remember that guy? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That guy used to have his TV show, and they did a 60-minute special on it, and they teach you how to make that cold reading so you can do the exact same things to strangers, and people would believe you're talking about like spirits and stuff, but they're just cold reading you. It's like a technique or
Yeah.
something. And
It's
yeah.
bullshit is what it's called.
Yeah, well, that's like the whole point of the character. You if you're sort of listening to and you're trying to believe his bullshit, but you're also sort of like picking up. There's the guy's like really focused on charging you $350. That's like his first thing, and and towards the end of the episode, you sort of get the idea that the main character drugged the listener and made him like go through this hallucination and just took his money. So there's this whole thing. It's that's the idea behind it.
Where do you typically like get, I guess, inspiration for this? Like, do you just come across something in the news and be like, that'd be funny to talk about, or do you just try and think as much in the mindset of this character as possible to be able to craft out such like a, I guess, an entertainable episode?
Yeah, I go back to all those psychics and healers and gurus I met when I was a kid because we used to talk to them and we got blessings from them and stuff. And like and I never trusted him. I never trusted him. Like I even as a kid, you can tell. Okay, that guy's just bullshitting me. You don't understand it completely, but you know that whatever that guy's telling you, that guy's not. It's not true. It's not true.
He's swinging a
And
chandelier of drugs. That's what he's doing.
yeah, and that's pretty much the idea. And from like everyday life, because part of the episode, I tell an actual true story about a guy we called back down here we called him coqueto. Coqueto means the flirt or the flirty guy. And the whole point of the story is the guy gets into a car accident. He gets nerve damage to the part of his face, and he's got an involuntary twitch now, and so he closes his eyes. And every time he's winking at you, so everybody says, "Hey, that guy's like flirting with me," and he gets in trouble because everybody thinks that guy's like, "Hey, why is that guy winking at me?" But it turns out he's got like this nerve thing on his head. So, but I end up incorporating that into the story because we go through the Zodiac, because he goes like Aries, Libra, Gemini. He reads the entire Zodiac and he says, "Okay, you choose what applies to you." The idea behind this is talking about something in somebody's life it's gonna resonate for someone. Uh, like the theme of this episode was letting go, and not being afraid anymore, and like taking what you know is yours and you've been too afraid to take.
That's like
Because
when my guidance counselor had a family member die, and the guidance counselor was trying to help me like explain it to me. And I remember he just like held up a candle and he was like, blow it out whenever you're ready. And that was supposed to symbolize like you letting go. Like,
oh
that's, it's so fucking deep. And it's like, I'm in third grade, you asshole. Like, what the kind of guidance counseling is that? He told me I was going to be a preacher. And I'm like, I went the complete opposite way, brother.
Oh, look at that. You've been either called a powerful psychic or a preacher. So somebody sees something in you, man. I don't know what it is, but somebody sees something there.
I got the demons in me. Explains whenever I take a shit, I call it an anxiety poop. That's the demons coming out.
Anxiety. Yeah. Well, the whole shtick of the Zodiac and like the Holy Man and whatever, I'm trying to use it. Like the next episode that's dropping at the end of the month is about guilt, man. Uh, so wrapped around like the whole thing. When I start reading the Zodiac, it's like this entire pep talk about like, hey, because part of what happens in the show is he uses his magical stuff and everything after consulting the Zodiac and opens a portal into the psyche of the person he's healing, and he pulls out like a physical manifestation of whatever's wrong with him, right? So the last episode, it was a cow. So the listener had to slaughter the cow with a cowbell and eat it so he could be free of his fears.
Where the fuck do you think of that? Like the cowbell in specific too. It's like, holy shit.
Well, it's the cowbell was used in the like have you heard those guided meditation
Yeah, there's also
podcasts and
the
stuff?
thing where the dude hits the bowl and then spins it around. I can never do that.
Same thing with a cowbell, but for part of the episode, because as part of the episode, he's inducing him into a trance. But what I'm saying is not meant to relax you. It's just meant to like sort of make unnerve you and make you feel uncomfortable.
What makes you
It's
feel
that
uncomfortable?
Mostly like social situations, but
Like two
he
things really I judge about a person's character. I've had some hookups in the past, and a few of them have been one of those hippie type chicks. One
okay.
of them actually owned a store. She was very, very nice. I'm not going to say her name because I respect her a lot. But walking in, it always smelled like sage. She loved the smell of incense. That's how she ran her shop. And to me, I was like, I want to fucking puke all over all these charms and bracelets. I'm sorry, but the smell of sage and the smell of incense gives me the biggest headache. It's like a fucking candle that's burnt. Like, what's mystical to me in the world is very few things. I think water's pretty awesome to look at. I like the flow of it. And also candles at Home Goods. When you come across a candle like this one that I have right here on my desk, it says berry and tobacco. You're like, how the fuck do they get berry and tobacco in a candle? It smells exactly like berry and tobacco.
Well,
Also, Starburst. How the fuck do you know what Starburst smells like? You smell it? That's exactly what Starburst smells like.
Starburst. Oh yeah, there's a Starburst candle, right? Yeah, I saw it somewhere.
There's a fucking unicorn fart in the bamboo jungle of outer space, and that'll smell just like exactly that. It brings me to question a little bit on life and how are these people that are developing candles psychics? I know people that make their own candles. I've talked to a few. The only
Yeah,
people.
I've seen. Yeah, you can buy like the essential oils and stuff, right? And
Do you
like,
believe in all that? Do you think that helps hone the power a little bit? Because I see somebody like, hold on, let me put on my focusing lotion.
well, I met a guy who was a priest in the Church of Satan. Until and he was like all into like all sorts of weird stuff. But he used to say that everything was it wasn't that there wasn't a god, there wasn't a devil, there wasn't this, there wasn't that. We're all enslaved to religion, blah 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 blah. And being a Satanist was being free and whatnot. And and he used to say that all oils, candles, and everything, it's just ritual to focus your personal energy because we're all made of stardust. And he would go into this whole thing. He tried to recruit me for the longest time, and like no,
I think
like
my
hey.
guidance counselor was right at some point because I don't know if you've heard me say before, but I am an ordained minister under the United Church of Bacon. I spent $45 in an hour and a half at my
and,
Maryland courthouse
and
trying to get that.
you have
I have the certificate. That is above my college degrees at the very bottom, but above that, there's three other ones. It's the Church of the Latter Saint Dude, which is Dudism from the Big Lebowski. So I have my
yeah.
licenses under there, my degrees, but my top one is my minister's license.
My one of my cousins is he's ordained church in the Universal Life Church or something.
Universal
And
Life Church, I've heard of that one.
yeah, and it's the same thing, something he printed out over the internet and whatnot. He's about 6 feet 6'5". He's really tall. He's a way darker skin than me. He's got a big nose, so he looks Middle Eastern. So what he does is he wraps a turban around his head. He is not Middle Eastern. We're both Mexican. We live here in Baja, and he performs marriage ceremonies for people from the States that are coming in because they just assume he's some type of holy man.
Jeez,
They don't even
man.
ask anything. They don't even say anything, but they just assume because he's got his I won't shout it out or anything. I don't want to get him in trouble. He's got his own website and everything. So a lot of people, well, before the world ended, right, with the coronavirus and everything, used to come down here to Baja for like big weddings and stuff. And he's on a bunch of registries for wedding planners and everything because he speaks English and he's an ordained minister, and whatever he signs is valid in the States. So people just look at him and yeah, we want him because he's got this big beard and a turban, but he's more Mexican than the beans, man. So all he does, he just acts all spiritual. He doesn't say anything. He lets people imagine whatever they want to imagine. He never claims to be like a Middle Eastern. He doesn't claim to be a holy man. He doesn't do anything. Everybody just assumes, and people like, could you bless us? Could you please like give us give us
It's the same thing if I wore a priest collar, they just all start coming up to me asking
exactly,
for forgiveness
man.
or something. I'm like, what'd you do? They're like, well, I killed a hooker yesterday. I said, that's fine. Just say 3 Hail Marys and walk out.
it's just the power of the idea. It's the power of your belief in someone. This has to this goes back around with couples and marriages. People meet someone and they say, "Oh, this person can't do no wrong. She's perfect. She's everything I ever wanted. Oh my God, look at her. We're so perfect together." And then that person goes ahead and does something that you didn't expect. And you know what? That person let me down. That person hurt me. That this person did this to me, and it's not that person. It's the person you had in your head. You thought this person was this person. You had an idea, and when that happens, you actually meet the person you're dating or you're married to or whatnot.
Same thing. You look past
And
all the flaws and shit.
yeah, and that's when you actually start looking, because we don't know the people we're dating. We create an idea of who they are based on who they show us they are and what we want to believe. And like your experiences will color any future experiences. If you meet another girl who has a little shop and the first thing you smell walking to this other girl's shop is sage or patchouli or
I'm gonna think
whatnot,
of that girl.
and you're just gonna like label her, put a label on her, and maybe completely
I don't fucking trust anybody
subconsciously.
with incense.
Yeah.
I don't.
But
I had a family member light up incense. I threw it outside the house. The whole
there
house
you
smells like
go.
chicken shit, basically.
Going back to the holy people, when I was like 15 or something, I woke up. I was taking a nap at home, like after school and whatnot. And I wake up and there's this old lady standing over me, like burning sage and saying like a weird ass prayer, like and I end up like screaming, and like my mom standing behind. Don't worry, she's just blessing the house. Like
It's like summoning the devil in my house. Yeah, all
yeah,
right. So psychic shit, a lot of it seems to be bullshit. But one thing that's really weird is when it starts coming into cult territories, when it starts to become very real. I
oh yeah.
remember I went to a Christmas Eve party at my aunt's house. And I mean, there was about 60, 70 people there, people I didn't even know. And one guy was talking about like a little bit of this stuff. And my mom's Reiki master has their certificate, which to me, that's one of the things I really hate is that fucking hands-on
Oh,
bullshit. Um, but I get it. I understand where it works for some people. I've seen some evidence to prove it. Just for me, it's not for me. And I was in there and we were talking about, I was like, oh my God, you're definitely not doing another fucking healing session. And the guy goes, I was a part of almost a cult one time. And this guy I hadn't even really met, I was like, what? And she goes, he's been saying this story for 30 something years. And everyone's like, he's been saying it for 30 years and he never changes any details. It's always the same exact thing. I'm like, what's your story, bro? I was hoping to get him on, but eventually it fell through. But
ah,
I was talking to him. I was like, so what's the story? He goes, so I was dating this chick, and guess who it is? It's the one that runs, and it's a popular newspaper. He says the Coconut Times, which is a popular newspaper in my town. And
okay.
he goes, it's the same story every time. He never changes the detail. And then he starts telling me, so I was probably in my 20s back when Ocean City first started becoming a place. We only had a few businesses down here. I remember I got drunk with my buddies, and I went with this girl back to her house. She ended up saying she had to go to the bathroom or something. I passed out in this like this lounge chair that she had like in the middle of her room or whatever. Freaking woke up tied to the fucking chair, butt ass naked, fucking girls and people all dressed in black gowns with like this like weird like he thought he was saying chicken blood, but it was probably like red paint or something,
Yeah.
splattering it all over him and doing this like mantra, this chant thing. He's butt ass naked wearing fucking loafers still. He
Damn.
goes, I jumped out of the fucking window. My loafer got stuck, whatever, in a gutter or something, and he fell to the floor. Then he called for a taxi and waited for a taxi to come pick him up at fucking 2 o'clock in the morning, man.
Butt naked and in loafers, and a loafer, right?
And he just sit there, but he kept referring when he was telling me, like, he could say the story a lot better. I definitely did it a disservice, but he kept saying in the story, like, as he's telling me the story, he goes, I was so fucking pissed. I wanted my shoe back. They were my brand new fucking loafers. I had to go golfing the next day. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, like this guy was just almost in like a weird cult experience. And he's just worried about his freaking loafers. But he goes, I swear to God, you can call her up right now. I'll fucking say it to her face. That bitch is crazy. She's in a cult. And he kept saying, like, at a Christmas Eve party. And I'm like, holy crap, like this is the craziest story I've ever heard of.
I almost started a cult once by
I
mistake.
almost started a cult. Somebody put that on a shirt.
Yeah. It was. I used to work at a hotel as like a receptionist, like at the front desk.
I was a houseman. I got you.
Oh, okay, okay. I used to be at the front desk, right? So I used so I was friends with everybody, right? The guys from maintenance, the guys from the restaurant, everybody, right? So one day I'm talking to one of the guys, and he says, you know what I want to buy? I want to buy a sword. He said, I saw a sword the other day at a store. It looked really nice. I think it would look good like in my living room in a mantle or whatnot, right? And then tell him, oh, I got a couple of swords. And he says, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I got some training swords and stuff. Those little wooden things covered in foam. Yeah, yeah, and I know a little bit how to use it. If you want, we can like go to the park or something, and I'll show you like some basic moves or whatnot, right?
Fucking kill you in the park.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. And the guy says, okay. So the like a week goes by, and he says, hey, can a friend come? Yeah, sure. So there we're doing our thing, right? And then another week goes by, and like we and then there's like 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, and you're saying, where does the cult aspect come in, right? So one day that guy starts talking about like religion and God and everything, and I was in my 20s. I was like maybe 23, 24. So I was in my college years, and I did this whole spiel about life and religion and how I saw the universe, and their eyes just sort of went wide. And one guy goes, I will follow you. And I thought he was joking. Then he comes with 3 other guys. Could you please explain it like you explain it to me? So like what about life and everything? So I start talking. So at some point, this guy proposed we should all go up into like a mountain area to camp, like 30 or 40 people, so I could teach them about my beliefs and teach them how to use swords. No, it was like this weird thing. It was like this weird thing that actually ended up like either they're gonna end up killing me or something, like up in the mountain, or I'm gonna end up calling myself Princess Shabubu or something. But yeah, so
Would you want to lead a cult though? Would you?
nah, man. I think I think that would be easy because there's a lot of people who just want to believe in something.
Like
They want to be
People's
part of
Temple, dude.
something.
They're people that killed themselves just so they
Yeah.
could fucking. They killed themselves wearing brand new Nikes. Didn't make any sense.
Oh yeah,
John
they went.
Applewhite or whatever his name
Yeah,
was.
yeah, they went on a comment, right?
Yeah.
There's a special on Netflix, man, about this guy who had like this community somewhere in like in Montana or something. He had like hundreds of people, of people, and he built like an entire city around his religion. And I don't know, it would be easy. It would be easy. You've been told you could be a preacher, man.
I get
You,
scared because I look at my analytics for like the podcast, and in Estonia is where I'm very popular apparently. And I look
whoa.
down there, I'm like, I must be saying something right, but I guarantee you, if I ever take a trip down there, there's like a statue of me and like
Yeah,
a,
that's what I was gonna say. There's a giant billboard right there.
it's like
You're getting them through life. Yeah.
I have a fucking cult in Estonia. It's like, all right, let's start worshiping me, please. I mean, but seriously, though, like the ordained minister's license, I took a lot of time to get, but I did because like that. If you ever hold hands in a park, I'll fucking marry you. I'm just gonna just run by like you're married, Dick. What? Sorry, it's legal
too,
now.
too late. Yeah.
In Alaska, you just send away for it.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like
You just
over
send a letter
the?
like, "Hey, we're married," and then they finalize it and send it back to you.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
Okay.
fucking bullshit, is what it is. That sounds like some fake made up stuff.
Mm.
You got the Northern Lights in the background.
Oh yeah, they're there.
Dude, they also give you $1,000 for moving there. So,
Huh. That's interesting.
well, they give you $1,000 so this the apparently the government ravages the state's natural beauty by looking for oil and stuff. So they're like, here's so you don't have any questions, and they also give you
Okay,
land.
here's some money. You know that whole sending away for something. There's a very special chapter in law here where you can give somebody a power of attorney, and you can tell them, find me a wife, and that guy can like go somewhere across the country and meet someone and say, hey, I want you to marry my friend. Would you marry my friend? Okay. So the guy marries the lady somewhere else in the country, but under the power of attorney. So she doesn't marry him. She marries you through this person legally. and then that guy brings her over to this part of the country, and oh, here's your wife, man. I got her for you.
That's like that awesome show, 90 Day Fiance.
It's perfectly legal because it's just getting married through a legal representative.
With even all the joking with the psychic stuff aside too, I do want to ask you a serious question. With the fact
Sure.
that with COVID happening, when this is all over, do you realize how busy you're going to be with the fact of how many people are going to be in there for domestic violence cases and also serious like divorce cases as well? I mean, the numbers have increased so much.
I've been getting a lot of phone calls. A lot of people been telling me what's been going on. We're not designed to be like in close quarters with, even if it's the people we love, we still
I
need
always
time.
said for the longest time that if you're stuck in a house with your family for longer than 7 days, somebody was reaching for a butter knife.
Oh yeah. Something's gonna happen. So there's I think like at least in there was a statistic or something I read. There's that from the beginning, what is it? The end of March, like from the 19th of March to the 15th of May, there's been over 150,000 phone calls about domestic violence. That's 150 phone, and that's just phone calls to like a specific crisis line, and that's not. Most people end up calling a family member. Hey, come pick me up. This is happening. I've had friends call me, hey, like somebody's beating the crap out of their wife or something, or oh, there's this guy outside his house. He's crying because the lady just like hit him over the head with a frying pan, and I'm not making that one up.
Well, you hear shit like that, and then you start to wonder, like, oh, now I get it why those guys that kill like somebody in their house or something, and they're outside waiting for the cops with their hands behind their head. Like, I fucking did it. Like, let's go. I know what I did. I made the world a better place. It's like, oh, that makes sense.
Have you ever listened to Bill Burr? There's this whole monologue about no reason to hit a woman.
Yeah.
Just look it up on YouTube. It's really funny. He says,
oh, go ahead. I gotta hear it.
He goes, I would never hit a woman, but, and then he goes into this whole list, and then, but I would never hit a woman, and he goes through another list, and it's really funny. I mean, and I'm not being like a misogynist or whatnot or whatever. It's just comedy. It's just comedy, folks.
Yeah, it's the same thing with he has a funny joke about like sometimes when you see a ceiling fan spinning really fast, I just want to jump and stick my head right into it. I'm like, I have those thoughts all the fucking time. I'll be lying down on my couch and see this ceiling fan spin real fast. I'm like, what happens if I just fucking jumped and hit that? What would happen? What happens if I fell on the steps?
In like in my line of work, I used to do a lot of family mediation, and I got a lot of guys who were victims of spousal abuse. These guys were scared of their wives. They were scared because they would get the shit beat out of them. They would be asleep. They would get like hot water poured on their balls. They would wake up and being scratched and whatnot. And they know they can't fight back because if they do, they get picked up and they get thrown in jail.
The OJ law.
Yeah, and like some guys would say, I actually went to to press charges, and they laughed me out of there. People would just like laugh at them, like, hey, aren't you a man? Can't you do something? Can't you like
when
get
you
a hold
come
of your life?
across a scenario where a girl is crying or doing whatever, the guy immediately has to get taken away. It's a part of the OJ law.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked when you look at like the actual evidence behind it. Like, oh no, you're the one being abused. It's like, thank you.
Who's that guy? Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. That everybody
and started getting mad because apparently his wife came out saying that it hit him, and everyone came out, even his ex-wives, like, he's not that type of dude. I'm like, dude, he's already lost his shit. He just made an Instagram, and it's the funniest fucking thing in the world.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Oh, I'll look him up.
It is like if someone took a massive amount of drugs, then tried to play Jack Sparrow, and then tried to make an Instagram video. He's like, the world's covered in COVID, and an important part about being part of COVID is spending time with the family. Spending time. And it's like you're like a 5-minute video of like, Jesus, IGTV, shut it off. That's the world that we live in, bro. We got people that are crazy and we got people that are interesting. The thing is trying to sift through the horse shit to see which one's real.
Hey, are you on lockdown over there?
Yeah, our whole state's freaking in a tizzy. We opened up for a weekend, and since we're a tourist attraction spot, we had people from Virginia, New York, every place came down here. Our numbers of cases that are being discovered since this happened, I think Saturday and Sunday, our number of cases of people infected on Monday increased by 500. And then today's Tuesday. I'm still waiting for those numbers to get pumped out. But yeah, it's been very serious. Like, wow. There are a bunch of kids my age, 20-year-old kids. They have a thing called H2OI weekend, where they come down with these riced out cars, like these Subarus, these Toyotas, these Hondas. They have giant spoilers on the back, cambered out wheels, like totally douchey. You can't even go up a speed bump.
Yeah, Fast and Furious stuff.
Yeah, they come down here and just want to drink and party and do all these types of things. Well, they did that, and then a lot of them came back infected, and now they're going and spreading it back in their homes.
Jeez.
So it's like, well, this is going to last even fucking longer.
Oh, no, yeah. We're going through the same. We've been on lockdown for like a month and a half. Numbers keep going up. People are still dying. And
I'm immune, bitch. I either have already had it, or I have the cure to it. Either way, I'm trying to donate my blood to help with the vaccine, because you get paid.
Really? Oh, well, that's good. They're looking for
3
like antibodies or something.
Yeah, some people have like developed a resistance to it. Apparently, I always said that if something's going to take me out, it's going to be something severe. So I just found out like last week that what I'm dealing with, that I've been dealing with for a long time, since January, that's been really hurting me, is a spinal issue. So I was like, yeah, that's how I'm going to go for sure. So
Whoa.
I'm not afraid of fucking COVID, but at the same time, like donating your blood, it's $300 a week. For till they find a cure, and they're not even talking about, with everybody donating blood, they're not going to find a vaccine for another year. And they're talking about this,
even if everybody donates blood.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's really far out, because now we have another wave of it coming in as well. It's supposed to be.
That's what I heard, that things are gonna get bad like in summer and everything, because they're easing restrictions all over. Even here in the state, they're
all a ploy, bro.
Yeah, we're the third hardest hit state, and they still want to open up like in 2 weeks. And
I'm going to tell you what I tell everybody I care about, and that's a very few amount of people, because I care about you. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
If a cure comes out, I'm saying wait 6 months, because how I Am Legend started was that they rushed a cure for cancer. People got it and it turned into those fucking zombies. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I'm saying we're rushing shit really, really fast. I just heard yesterday that there's a possible cure and it's testing on humans already. I'm like,
that's
wait
way
a
too
minute.
Soon. Yeah.
We just talked about not having it for a year and a half. Now you're telling me we have it today? Are you kidding me? No, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
There's something up there. Yeah. I don't know. Either it's just a placebo or something. Yeah, you're vaccinated, whatnot. I've also been hearing that it's gonna mutate like the common cold. You mean that every year is gonna come back, but a little bit different, whatnot.
It's all just misinformation. It's like for 20 something years, I thought that it was Michael Jordan that had AIDS, and I found out it was
Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah. I had someone tell me that. I'm like, because we had Michael Jordan come to my town. And as a little kid, I thought he had AIDS. I thought that was him. And I mean, I was 20 when I figured this out, and I'm 22 now, so it's 2 years ago.
Okay.
And Michael Jordan came to our town to do like a fishing tournament or something. We had the Great White Marlin opening, and I was like, wow, I really want to get him on my podcast. I want to talk to him about like what's it like playing basketball with the AIDS factor. And some guy just looked at me and goes, "What?" I'm like, "Michael Jordan has AIDS. That's Magic Johnson. What the fuck are you saying right now?" It was a big mind fuck moment for me.
Because you saw Michael Jordan, said, "Man, the guy doesn't stop. He doesn't care. He keeps
I saw
going."
MJ, and that's what got me.
Yeah.
I was like, look at the perseverance. And like, you're an idiot. I'm like, I didn't know. What's the difference? I thought Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan were the same guy.
And Magic Johnson like is undetectable. Like he's one of those few celebrities. Like for some reason he's been living with AIDS for what is it, like 30 years?
Yeah, it's manageable, and they always talk about it killing you. I'm like, well, he's still alive and doing shit.
Yeah, but that's pumping like millions of dollars into it. So, and I don't know.
A lot is artificial. We get it.
Yeah, that.
Well, dude, it's been awesome being able to chat with you, man. Why don't you go ahead and promote your Instagram page, promote your podcast, please, where people can see this awesome content. And if you ever need a psychic or a voice on the podcast just to fuck around, you got me for sure.
Oh, awesome. Sure. Well, the podcast is the Evil Zodiac. And all we got right now is a Twitter, the Evil Zodiac pod. And it's also Evil Zodiac on Instagram. And we're on every podcatcher, Spotify, iTunes, the whole thing.
I'll make sure to link everything in the description, brother. It's been awesome talking to you. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast.